Solis je možná o trochu méně známá značka na českém trhu, ale celosvětově je to třetí největší výrobce právě střídačů a nabízejí různé kombinace řešení pro fotovoltaiku. Naši technici důkladně Solis otestovali a zjistili, že nabízí výborné technické vlastnosti a zároveň skvěle funguje právě s bateriemi Pylontech, což si dneska ukážeme. Naši kolegové ze Solisu, Krištof Dybek a Gábor Zoltán, představí technické vlastnosti a produktové portfolio a potom vlastně Tomáš Kvasnica z technické podpory Bajva RI vás zasvětí do tematiky Pylontechu. Tady můžeme vidět ten program dnešního webináře, který je naplánován od 9 do 12 hodin. První část webináře bude probíhat v angličtině. Bude zaměřená na síťové měniče Solis, následně na hybridní měniče a zároveň potom na uvedení do provozu a samotný pozáruční servis. Druhá část už potom bude probíhat v češtině, kdy se zaměříme na baterie Pylontech a na konci bude i prostor pro dotazy. Pro dotazy bude víceméně prostor ale v průběhu celého webináře, kdy hned v té horní liště mezi prvními ikonkami můžete vidět otázky a odpovědi, kdy tenhle prostor můžete využít pro jakýkoliv dotaz, ať už technický, nebo kdybyste potřebovali něco přeložit třeba z té první části, tak my vám dotazy zodpovíme přímo v češtině. Na konci webináře potom bude prostor pro ty zbylé dotazy, kdy bude možnost na cokoliv se doptat. Nyní už bychom přešli k hlavní části programu a já moc děkuji za pozornost a předávám slovo Krištofovi. So Krištof, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for this introduction. I hope you hear me well. Yeah, I will just share my screen. Okay. So first we're going to just quick review of Solis history. Started in 2005 as European brand of Chinook Technologies. First started the operation in the UK, when to this day is the #1 choice for residential solutions. And after that, we started to explore continental Europe. So we are operating also in South Africa, both Americas, and currently even in the Middle Eastern countries like Turkey, or right now in Israel also I am operating. We are the third largest manufacturer in the world. I noticed that you told us in Czech. Yeah, I'm Polish, so I understand quite a bit. But one thing I need to stress out, our products are really ours, as we do not participate in joint venture. When one company is creating inverter using only brand name of another, we are producing those inverters from scratch in our factory. Also, another advantage is if customer needs some special requirements, R&D can deliver it hardware as well as firmware. So if you have something to do with those inverters to fully cover your market, just tell me. I can go with it further. Okay, we are going to split topics, and first I will say a few words about grid-tied solutions, and then go to hybrid inverters after a short break. So I'm not doing any sales right now, so let's go straight to the business. Let's start with product introduction of grid-tied inverters. So those are at GR name and GC name. GR stands from, and GC, like this guy, stands from a grid-tied commercial. We have nice three-phase inverters with various power, up to 20 kilowatts. Max current input is 60 amps, which means that those guys can handle high current panels without cutting off production at 11 amps, as some other inverters often do. S5 GC 2540K is one of our bigger guys. It's got 3 up to 6 PPTs. And is working at 32 amps, as you see. And max voltage input is 1100 volts per MPPT, which means you cannot exceed number of panels above this level. But of course, each MPPT can be like this. I would say that the recommended value is a bit lower, as we need to take into consideration also winter time when the voltage is increasing. It's around 20 panels or so per string with 50 volts on each should be okay. We have also LV version, low voltage, but this is just a variant for Belgium or Norway because they have their 230 volts between phases. So this is not our focus right now. I just skip those. What else? Those are for CNI solutions, for utility scale solutions, 80 up to 110 kilowatts. With Pro version, this is our CNI and utility. Basically, those are 4 inverters put in one chassis. This guy. Rated output power is 400 volts. Rated output voltage, I'm sorry. Max voltage input per MPPT is 1100 volts. However, we have here bigger number of MPPTs, up to 10 in standard version. Pro is coming with 6 or 8 MPPTs and with 36 or 32 amps per MPPT, and this is currently available option for in this sector. And this guy is our biggest that we have it, we release it, and so on. We have even bigger one, 350, but it is still under development. So let's focus on this guy. This is the biggest. Max voltage input is extended up to 1500 volts, and it works on AC rated output voltage 800 volts. That's why we have in name high voltage here. Normal and Plus version is difference between a max current input 26 amps or 30 amps in Plus version. So if you have any questions, just shoot right now. We'll try to answer. And our focus on this presentation is the most common inverter, 80 up to 110 kilowatts, currently with Pro version. So this is our inverter used mostly in CNI solutions. We are selling those devices for plants around 5 megawatts in Romania and Bulgaria, for example, 7 megawatts as well. What else? The main difference is if you have 80 kilowatt, like this guy, you will get 6 MPPTs, and 100 or 110 has 18 MPPTs. It is worth saying that this inverter is compatible with all types of solar modules because it's Pro version. Normal has a little bit less current, but I will tell you about it later. This is how this inverter looks like from different angles. At the right side, we have a hidden AC terminal. Here, this is just the typical solution in those CNI inverters, the same as in Huawei or another brands. 4 groups, here you can see it, 4 groups of MPPTs with 2 MPPTs in one group. So it will be 36, 32, 36, 32, 36, 32, and so on. An external fan, of course. Also, good advantage of this inverter is small and quite reliable LCD screen. You see it here with 4 buttons below for commissioning. So we don't use any app for setting this inverter into operation, and all settings can be done like in 2 minutes or 3 minutes if you have some additional problems, but I don't think so. It's kind of easy to commission all those inverters. This cover can be opened. And if you have any problems with this inverter, you can look inside together with after-sales engineer on the phone or on the video call. So it is also kind of easier to understand how it works and how to solve the problem on site. But Gabor will tell you maybe more about it if you have any questions. And about technical parameters. So basic parameters are written there. Inverter works with 400 volts on the AC, 1100 volts input voltage per MPPT, and it has a operation range 160 up to 1000 volts. As I said before, that this should be a little bit lower than 1100 to do not exceed this value of MC4 connectors. 32 and 36 amps per MPPT, 2 strings per MPPT. This is also important. So you have like 18 or 16 amps per string. Are using also this inverter can use PLC communication. I'm not really a big fan of PLC communication, but if you like, you can have it. It's not a problem. Maybe the real problem is to commission those PLC communications between because it takes some time, like 1 hour or 2 hours, not like with RS485, but still it depends on you. Yeah, about display, I just told you. Degree of protection is IP66. It is just a standard. So those inverters are kind of reliable. Yeah, and maximum apparent output power. The biggest value is 122. What else we can see? The biggest difference between normal and the Pro version is startup voltage is a little bit lower. And there is a bigger DC-AC ratio, bigger current allowed per MPPT. Why we have there are less MPPTs than normal version? The answer is kind of simple. PV modules are changing in the direction of high power and high current. And the mainstream of the market uses 182 millimeters modules and 210 millimeters modules, which have increased current requirements for each string. So new Pro inverter increases the output power of each string from the previous 13 amps to 18 amps or 16 amps, which is adapted to 182 millimeters and to 210 panels, and can meet the 1.3. So in general, 110K inverters with 182 millimeters modules are connected to 13 strings, and 210 millimeters modules are connected to 10 strings, which is, I guess, sufficient. There is no need for the inverter to be equipped with so many string interfaces anymore. Yeah, and about efficiency, this is also very important for customers. We are trying to have as much as possible. It is obvious. 98 and 50%. What else? I guess I told you the most important things. This is AC, DC-AC ratio, the difference. And those are MPPT numbers between normal version and the Pro version. So those inverters are pretty much like each other. Pro is better suited, for example, for mixing grid-tied inverters together with older but fully tested RHI hybrid inverters from us. If you have hybrids on site and you want to use zero export limitation, you should use Pro inverter, not the normal one, but Pro, and EPM plus device as a master. EPM is our export power management device, and I will talk more about it later. But this is most crucial difference between those two inverters, the Pro version and the normal, that if you want to use hybrid inverters at the same time to have some storage, it's better to go with Pro. Normal one will still work, but we had some issues with export limitation, and this is crucial for a lot of markets to have it, so it's better to buy Pro, because firmware is a little bit different. Yeah, this is all important stuff. Yeah, and about the solution, because I can imagine that it is not obvious for everyone about this solution 36 amps and 32 amps. As I said previously, this inverter was like a Frankenstein of the inverters. We had a shortage during COVID with equipment, and we wanted to set stuff from our existing inverters, and we decided to leave it like this because this solution was reliable, very robust. So if you need to divide current between MPPTs, you need to have 18 amps per string in first MPPT and 16 amps in the second MPPT. Third has 18 amps followed by fourth with 16 amps. So conclusion is like this: if you use 550 watts modules, you can put the same number of panels per both inputs on MPPT. But if you use 660 watts modules, you can put 2 strings per higher current MPPT, but only 1 string on MPPT with lower current, as you can't parallel strings if you don't have the same number of panels per string in one MPPT. So here we see that in 80, you can connect 550 watts panels in all 12 strings, 20 panels per each. Yeah, and for 660 watts, total string would be 9, as 3 of them should remain free. Those with 32 amps should be connected with only 1 string, as normally you should avoid paralleling strings if they have different numbers of panels. Otherwise, you can risk string current backfeed. So yeah, the case is like this: 22 panels on higher, and if you have this MPPT with a little bit less amps, this should remain vacant. That's why you have only 9 strings connected. Yeah, and this is the same situation, but with a little bit bigger, 110. The main difference is if you can connect 16, not 12 strings with 20 pieces, because you have a bigger number of MPPTs, not 6, but 8. And what else? And 12 strings, not 9, with 22 660 watts panels per each string. So the main difference is here you have bigger number of MPPTs, not 6 but 8. That's why you can connect 12, not 9. And here not 12 but 16. Yeah. And max DC-AC ratio is 1.6, and it is kind of similar, 1.6 in general, but you can of course exceed something here. It is not very strict, but after you exceed this value, you need to be extremely careful with matching maximum voltage per MPPT and maximum current, short circuit current per MPPTs, because of course short circuit current is bigger. Yeah, and about this EPM device, because this is crucial for commercial scale plants. As we all know, we cannot feed the grid without any penalty. So in short, we have an external device to hang on the wall. It is here, called Export Power Manager. It controls energy flow through the system and allows or doesn't allow export energy. And this is extremely important, as there is no joke with grid operators at this point. To have injection of energy to the grid makes the grid unstable and leads to damaged devices connected at houses. So if you have only one inverter on site, like here, you can let go of this EPM because you don't need it. Inverter and power meter connected to it will handle the job by internal EPM function. You only need to install a meter before the load. This is one scenario. Or before the load and the inverter. This is scenario that I personally recommend, having the best results. And install CTs, current transformers, I mean, that come with the power meter together. So second option is to use EPM if you have more than one inverter on site, or if your customer clearly said that will add some inverters very soon. Also worth mentioning, Pro version of 80 and 110K needs EPM device anyway. Only normal version works with internal export power management function. And of course, those smaller grid-tied inverters, they are fully working without EPM at all. But Pro version works only with EPM device. So my advice is do not extend CT cables, because most likely this causes losing communication and reading will be wrong. It's better to just extend RS485 communication and put the meter where it should be, near MCB. So yeah, this clearly shows the basics of this. The current transformers can be placed also in high voltage side of the transformer, but you need to change something inside the EPM. Soon this information will be released also in just a basic manual. So the point is just to change some settings inside, and it's all will be good. Of course, EPM itself needs to be connected on a low voltage side, because yeah, 11,000 volts, it's not recommended for this device. Let's say like this. And about DPM itself, if you have 2 or more inverters on site, you need to have one external DPM. It is just not possible. There is only one master. The device is slave. So EPM becomes a master device, and you connect your inverters together using daisy chain, or as I call it, cascading scenario. We have a variety of options there. You can use a typical cascading scenario when RS is going out of the EPM and goes to import in this inverter. Then from this first slave is going out to the next one, and so on, etc. Another option is using star type. And so you are connecting all inverters to EPM to the same port. In short, if all A and all B are connected to each other, there is no problem. A, of course, means plus, B. And about differences between those two models, Solis PM5G Plus, this is the bigger guy, used for 3-phase inverters up to 80 devices. Main difference is this EPM has built-in power meter here, let's say under the cover, and for highest possible precision, so need only current transformers to set it. Previously, we had also in this cover inside old Solarman Dataloggery, but we got rid of it because yeah, we don't use Solarman anymore. So this guy most likely will come with just new Dataloggery for our Solis Cloud, and can be inserted here. Let's see, but the meter is inside. Yeah. EPM Pro version is the latest. You start. Do you hear me? I hope you hear me. Yeah, it's good. Okay, I had a loss of connection for a moment. Okay, chassis is also smaller, but it's easier to install everything. As I said, there is no data logger inside, but you can add it separately. S2 logger with 4-pin port. I will describe a little bit more about loggers and differences between them later on. So Pro version will have possibility to be compatible with S6 series hybrid, the newest hybrid, as well as the grid type, but only Pro version of EPM, not Plus. So you can put there both type of inverters in cascading scenario. So I left some hints about it earlier. This guy, Plus, can be used with old type of hybrids, residential hybrids, but put it in cascading scenario to have like 100K storage, for example. And this guy will be able to connect with S6, the newest hybrid that I will speak about and after a short break. So what else do we have here? EPM customers needs to buy correct current transformers. Which is correct, of course, depends of your cables on site, because you need to have a window, as we call space, inside the clamp, and make sure the clamp will close and wrap around your cable to measure current. Then we need to read the current ratio, which is written on your CT. It is usually written like this, 150 /5. So our secondary current on EPM is 1. So if you have value like this, 100 divided by 5, you should divide this value by 5 to have 1. So on EPM, we'll set 30 to 1. I will show you a little bit later how this commissioning looks like. But how do you know which CT size is correct? So you should check what is the real maximum current at this site. The best place you can check is go to the main circuit breaker and see if it's written, for example, 120 amps. Then you know that you need CT slightly higher than this. Let's say 150 to 5. So if you have commercial and utilities site, the best way is to check directly on your transformer and add to it, let's say 25% more. So in other words, to determine the current, the correct current transformer rating, multiply the full load amperes by a factor of 1.25. This is allowing sufficient headroom to also read overload conditions. Range for CTs for this EPM is between 100 and 3000 amps. Secondary current needs to be always 5. COM ports. About COM ports. This is also important if you use RS485 daisy chain. So up to 20 kilowatts, our inverters, we use 4 pin plugs, but starting with 30 kilowatts and above, we have more options. Terminal block or RJ45 plug as well. What can be said about this EPM? That it is measuring all the time. If the inverter is going to sleep after daylight is gone, EPM is AC powered and can upload data to Solis monitoring system 24 hours per day. So you have clear view of consumption data at night as well. CTs needs to be purchased separately, because if you will add CTs to this device, most likely it will not fit anyway, and the price will be bigger. So let's leave it like this. You can use whatever current transformers you want. Yeah, and this is just a few words about how to commission those grid-tied inverters. So we have two paths. First path is to go directly to the inverter. Each inverter go to advanced settings. Password is always 0010. So you need to use external EPM set. EPM 5G and failsafe needs to be on. This is very important. And what is it, this failsafe? So inverter is checking every 5 seconds about the signal from EPM, because EPM will communicate with the inverter within each second. But if for 5 seconds there is silence, inverter will shut down and stop production to avoid sending anything to the grid if this failsafe set is on. So I highly recommend it to set it on position. Otherwise, if you will leave it on off, nothing will be broken, but inverter will be no longer limited by EPM. It will put whatever he can produce. Yeah, the second point is to set address. So you just go to settings, set address of a different address. So you just start with 01, then go to another 02, 03, and so on. After that, you can go to EPM directly to EPM device and set EPM for 0 export. So set numbers of inverters. This is just easy. How many inverters you have on cascading scenario. Then you should CT ratio. Remember that secondary current here is 1, not 5. So if you have 1025, you should set on EPM 240, for example. Yeah, or like this is written here. This is taken from current transformer that it has 150 25. Yeah, so divided by 5, it has 30. After that, you need to set working mode, average or per phase. So it is written mode 1 or mode 2. Mode 1 is average, means that EPM allows to send something to the grid in case that it will go back, and sum of import-export is still 0. Most grid operators will allow. So the basic is like this. On each phase, inverter will push the same value. Only only one line has actual load, so it will go to the grid and then come back to this load. So the sum will be 0. And 0-2 mode is per phase, means that EPM takes into consideration lowest load value. So if, for example, on one phase load is equal to 0, it won't allow to produce anything. Not necessary in most cases, but sometimes grid operators require that. Like for example, in Spain, this is crucial. They do not allow to send anything to the grid, even if the sum is 0. So set backflow power here means that this is just your limit. If you don't want to send anything to grid, set here 0 or even minus 100. Minus 100 watts or 0. 0 is enough. And set total capacity. So add power of all your inverters. So if you have, for example, 30 kilowatts inverter and 110 kilowatt inverter, your capacity will be 140 with 30 at the end, because this value is in watts, not in kilowatts. Yeah, and the last step is just to test function with inverter off and load on. So active power will be negative for import and active power will be positive for export. So the best way to test it if meter and CTs are correctly installed is to just disable inverters and then check on meters or EPM screen if your real power is on all phases with minus. If any of your phases is in plus, it means that your CT is reversed. Clamp on cable on your wires which go to EPM. So keep in mind that you need to be sure if CT clamp is on good phase, because phase rotation also is causing wrong readings. Yeah, and this is just the YouTube video how to do it properly if you have some troubles. But yeah, I will just go into it later on. So this topic is closed. We are going to data loggers. Just a few words about Solis Cloud and data loggers in general. So Solis Cloud monitoring platform is our product and our internal system. Previously, we worked together with SolarOne, but we found that this SCADA is not the best choice, and we wanted to have more freedom for our customers as well. So we have our own app, which is being used for commissioning newer devices via Bluetooth standard, and to check remotely what is happening with the solar plant. User can also remotely change settings. Of course, internet is not essential to put a plant into operation, but it helps with controlling components, especially if you are far away from the actual plant. So here we have an organization chart, which means just an installer company. It can be a primary company and secondary company. For example, company B is contractor for company A, has access to some plants, but not all, depending of the situation. So it solves GDPR problems, as end user could not be very happy if a company unknown to them has access to their data and plant control. In this scenario, companies can control who has access to plant and sub-accounts. Of course, organizations are not only contractors, but also departments within one primary company. Doesn't really matter. It is up to the customer how he wants to set it. In organization, we have installer type of account and end user. Those have enabled settings change in their plant. The end user is the owner of the device and the plant, and the installer helps him to manage the plant. This is how it works. In other words, if the end user wants to change installer company, he can just assign his plant to another organization and the problem is solved. So we have also guest type of accounts, only to check information, which they are disabled. They have disabled function to set anything. But as I said, the most interesting topic here is end user. He is not forced to just delete the plant and to establish a new one if he changes an installer company. New installer company needs to tell him what is the name of their company, what is the code of the company, and that's it. End user will bind his plant to newer installer. That's it. Yeah, and this is about our data loggers, because we have no Solis Cloud without data loggers, obviously. So we decided to split solutions here, as we understand that one data logger with LAN, VLAN, and 4G would be expensive, but not necessarily useful for a customer, as they often decide to use only one type of communication. That's why we have some options to check. So this is our oldest solution. I'm not gonna say a word about it because it's boring stuff. S4 Wi-Fi ST. It has Wi-Fi up to 10 inverters. I do not include battery for this because this is not our point. 10 inverters can be cascaded. That's it. USB port provided with S6 inverters in the box, IP65. Here, as you can see, we have USB and 4-pin, like with this guy. Yeah, that's why we have two versions. Here we have only USB because S6 hybrid inverter only has USB port for Dataloggery. So S2, for example, it has Wi-Fi plus LAN, one with 4 pin, second one with USB up to 10 inverters for cascading scenario. With EPM Plus, will extend your original 10 to another 10, giving 20 or 80. Actually, yeah, they decided to extend it up to 80 devices. But of course, using this bigger export power manager. And we have S1 version, Wi-Fi plus 4G, one with 4 pin, second one with USB, up to 10 inverters as well. Will work with 4G if Wi-Fi signal is unstable or there is no Wi-Fi on site. Actually, no. It doesn't need to be prepared by the customer. As they told me, they will provide it directly with the S1 SIM card. Okay. And about CNI projects, we have S3 logger for utility scale with weather station, PLC communication, or Modbus TCP for external SCADA, and S2 PLC CCO box to be used with or without S3 logger, external box for PLC communication to just bind all inverters together on site. Yeah, and just a few more words about this ComLogger. This unit is like a replacement, let's say, for EPM device because it has the option to limit the export energy as well. It can be readable by external platform like SCADA or grid operator. Right now we are testing it. So you can use this S3 logger with power meter for more than 20 inverters on site if you need to have power limitation or zero export limitation. It can be connected with 30 inverters on 2 COM ports combined. So you can have 15 inverters per COM port. Next two are for weather station and meter. About weather station, we have a list with those which are tested and compatible. But there is no problem with asking about other models that you are interested in. We can provide this information to R&D and see if we can expand this list. One thing needs to be mentioned, this S3 logger is still under development, and for example, EPM function still doesn't work properly. So if you need limiting power of the plant right now, it's better to go with EPM device. So after we will upgrade this software, everything will be fine. But right now, I do not recommend to use it if you want to have zero export limitation on site. Yeah, thank you very much. Listening is over, so I would suggest like 10 minutes break and we'll go through hybrid. So we are starting the topic about hybrid inverters. New storage hybrid inverter is this guy, starting with 3K up to 10K S6. I told you just a few words before about this guy, that we can put them in parallel together with EPM Pro and grid-tied inverters. So this is that you know this number. But let's start with just the basics. What is hybrid inverter and how does it work? So we all know that PV energy is generated only when we have sun radiation during the day, but it might not be at the exact moment in time when we need to use that energy. So what a hybrid does along with the batteries is store grab that excess on the energy that we are not using and store it for later use. And not only, but also provide power supply when there might be a grid outage. So what we need in hybrid system, except the inverter, is the battery here and the meter, of course. Yeah. So meter is constantly sending signals to the inverter if it detects that your load is not covered by PV. and want to import energy from the grid, immediately will tell this information to the inverter. Inverter, within 1 second, start to discharge battery to cover the load. So your import will include only situations when both PV and battery can't cover the load. It is extremely important to install meter exactly where it should be, which means before everything, before the loads, before the inverter, so it can correctly measure in import, export, and react when there is grid loss on site to cut off normal circuit and let battery discharge to cover primary load, backup load, in other words, or just cover normal load when is needed and grid power is working as it should be. A meter you should buy directly from us, as they have designed firmware with correct registers. Do not use those from random distributors or AliExpress or whatever. Even you saw maybe they have Eastron meter or Acre meter. Do not use it. Use only provided by our company. And those are the models. So I will just say a few words about them. This is RHA, or newer name for it is S5. Works with the most popular 48 volts batteries. This is single phase guy, including also lead acid batteries without BMSs, battery management system. In other words, single phase solution is up to 600 volts input per MPPT and 15 amps input current. Just to mention, we have scheduled a 6 single phase, but we do not have fixed data sheet for this model yet. This is single phase, which is working with low voltage batteries and generator port as well. But I'm not focusing on single phase because, as in Poland, as in Czech Republic, most users they just like to have 3-phase inverters. So let's go with this guy. And this is our residential solution. S6EH3P, which means 3-phase, 3 up to 10. High voltage is one of our new products with different type of management, as we have here basic LCD screen. We do not have this 7 inches LCD screen with 4 buttons like with those grid-tied inverters. I like this screen. I like this very much, but this is also good. And the general overlook is better, I guess, better impression. So we have here basic LCD screen with simple indicators. And commissioning or settings we can change directly from the app using simple Bluetooth connection. It is very easy to use, and navigation through the operating system is faster than managing with 4 buttons. App is working fine with Android and iOS smartphones as well, and the same app is being used when you want to connect to our monitoring platform, so you don't have to have like 2 different apps. You just use Solis Cloud app. HVS means high voltage energy storage, and exactly as it said, this inverter can work with batteries with much higher voltage than 48 volts, which also means that inverter can charge batteries faster than before. Switching time is less than 10 milliseconds. There is an uninterrupted power supply, works good as UPS solution. What else can be said? 3 or 4 MPPTs on this model, which is twice as, for example, M1 from Huawei. They have only 2 MPPTs. And all of those inverters, our hybrid inverters, have a backup inside. So you don't have to buy a backup box separately. It is all included here, just with the inverter. So we see it even here on this picture. This is just a normal AC connection. This is connection for AC for backup, and backup is also 3-phase. So this is also important, I guess, topic. This is Datalogger. You can, of course, disconnect it. It is with USB port. And this guy, I will tell just a few words about it because this particular device is not really interesting for Czech Republic market, I suppose. This is AC coupled. So we also have single phase AC coupled and newer S6, like this guy. Single phase inverters without any PV input designed for retrofit scenario. When you already have a working system with an inverter and solar panels, but your inverter is not hybrid and you want to add also a battery. So it doesn't matter which brand you already have. AC coupled works with any other inverter as there is no communication between them. You only need to install this inverter, power meter, which comes in the box to measure export and import from the grid, and of course battery from one of our compatible manufacturers. So important stuff. This S6 does not have a backup option anymore. We are planning at the end of this year 3-phase unit up to 10 kilowatt with high voltage batteries, and backup is included here, but still for me it's better to just buy this hybrid or for residential solutions. Yeah, and those are our bigger hybrids inverters. We were showing those guys, for example, in Reneo in Hungary on Expo, in a lot of different places through the Europe. And this is our new products for Europe, previously with different power ranges, starting with 12 up to 15, 20 kilowatts. We noticed that there is a bigger and bigger push to build an inverter which is compatible with batteries and bigger than standard residential 10 kilowatts. So together with the backup solution already implemented in Solis X6, this guy is a decent solution for houses and smaller workplaces. Together with 12 and 20, we want to release this year even bigger models, 30 up to 50 kilowatts. So what can be said about this guy? Max current input is 20 amps. With this biggest, even 14 amps. Max voltage input is 1000 volts per MPPT. Battery voltage range is starting with 120 up to 800 volts, 15 amps charge discharge. Built-in control of SG heat pump. This is not ready just yet, but it will be ready very soon. Generator port. I will tell you more about it later, but it is very interesting solution, I guess. And you can put those guys 6 pieces in parallel operations. And 4 MPPTs this guy has. Main difference between those two is, beside of course, max current input is higher and discharge is higher. This guy has 2 different BMS ports, so you can put 2 batteries, 2 battery storage at the same time. This guy, this guy has only 1, as usual. This guy has 2, and both have 70 amps. So in total, you have 140 amps charge discharge rate. Backup box included, of course, inside, and 6 pieces in parallel. And generator port also is included. This guy also has included generator port, but this is for a battery with low voltage range, 40 up to 60. This is mostly for Balkan states like Romania, like Bulgaria, because they want to have a newer inverter compatible still with low voltage batteries because of the price, of course. That's why we wanted to release this. So if you are interested in this model also in Czech Republic, not a problem, but I guess you would rather want to have those guys or just standard residential. About features, going back to the residential one, 3 up to 10 kilowatts. Maximum input current is 16 amps, which is far more than, for example, M1 and 2000 from Huawei, because they have like 11 amps. Bluetooth connection with mobile phone, 50 amps for 10 kilowatts charge discharge. UPS switching is less than 10 milliseconds. I was testing it a few times in our UK laboratory. We connected all our routers, all our devices to just the backup. We did a grid loss situation, and there was no problem with switching. Like nobody even noticed that. So it is really working. Good. What else can be said about this? Compatible with different brands of battery models. Pre-made battery cabling to reduce time on site during installation. Yeah, and advanced functions can be paralleled up to 6 inverters. Previously, we had no issues with 3. Right now, it is confirmed that we can put 6 inverters. Has peak shaving mode and can be used as AC couple inverter as well. When meter detects power injection from PV third-party inverter, and S6 uses it to charge the battery. And new features for battery life, but I will tell you more about it a little bit later. Yeah, and those are product features of commercial hybrids. If you have like small warehouse or just a grocery store, you can use easily this 12 up to 20. So you have here integrated 4 MPPTs up to 20 amps input current. And this 20 amps is enough to have high current panels, I suppose. High efficiency charge discharge up to 50 amps. DC-AC ratio is 1.6, which means the difference between wattage and the inverter capacity is called DC-AC ratio. I told you something about this when I talk about grid-tied inverters. So I forgot to mention what exactly what is this. So inverter load ratio. You can put 32 kilowatts on DC side on 20K inverter. As ratio for this inverter is 1.6. This is if you have not good weather, for example. It's better to have always overloaded inverter. So 10 seconds, 200% surge power backup overload capability. Switching is less than 10 milliseconds. About paralleling, I told you. For parallel can be one master and there's are slave as the communication is to RS485 and Modbus RTU. If you need some export limitation on site, you can use EPM device connected as well if you use also grid-tied inverters. Supports unbalanced load on both the grid and backup port. And this is also what is different here, especially when you have battery. You not necessarily want to use balanced load during discharge. Smart, lightweight, intelligent, and easy for installation and commissioning. And pulled-in port to connect diesel generator or a third-party inverter. This is applicable for off-grid scenario and the retrofit of an existing PV plant. Nice thing, as we hear that more and more people want to use generator, and if you are not careful, you can easily damage this equipment using also solar inverter. In this situation, you can connect this generator to the dedicated port and set parameters for when it should turn on or not. Also, about the biggest dual battery interface supports a little bit less 1.4 DC-AC ratio. Actually, right now we are heading up to 2. So if you would use a 50 kilowatt inverter, you can easily set 100K on DC side right now. And max discharge current is 70 amps per port for the battery. Those are product features. And about work modes. This is, I guess, not that complicated topic, but there is a slide full of text. So I will just be really fast on it. And what is self-use? This is the most common scenario. Your PV is not enough to cover the load at the moment, so inverter is calling battery to discharge. Grid will be involved only when PV and battery combined are still not enough to cover the load. So you can enable here time of use settings called TOW, and put here speed of current for battery charge and set for how many hours do you prefer to charge it when your energy taken from the grid is cheap enough to, in your perspective. Charge from AC must be enabled, of course. And about battery reserve function, this is for backup. So battery has 3 settings regarding state of charge. First and the highest will be reserve SOC. So battery will stop discharging to keep the remaining SOC, state of charge, or backup load if needed. If there is grid loss, the battery will drop down up to over discharge SOC and whole system will be off. So below this point is just the self-use for battery and inverter. If it drops down, force charge SOC will cause auto charging battery up to over discharge SOC, and after that, of course, to backup reserve once again. Feed-in priority. Very rare situation, I guess, when you have a good deal with your grid operator and they want to use your exported energy to the grid for a reward. Battery will discharge even if your load is covered. So you can set discharge hours in time of use charge chart. So one thing needs to be mentioned, it comes from simple logic. Self-use cannot be enabled at the same time as feed-in priority. You need to choose one of them. It will actually switch automatically. But only one function can be then. So when you have grid situation on site, or inverter never had AC connection with grid, in this mode your battery will be drained as much as possible because in this kind of scenario every energy source counts. And yeah, about peak shaving. The purpose of it is to avoid charging battery when electricity has higher price after you get a certain peak. So you can set hours when prices are too high, and battery will stop charging from AC during this period. In bigger commercial inverters, peak shaving mode is also applicable when you want to use generator or third-party inverter on site. So battery will charge from AC only until certain peak level, and after that, let the generator charge it instead of using AC from the grid. Sorry, not this slide. Just give me a moment. Yeah, and about key functions, let's say. This is just the summary. So time of use, as I told you before, this is just the chart where battery is allowed to charge and discharge. I bet that a lot of you guys have this option with other inverters. So this is just the chart, just to put your schedule and combine this TOW mode with self-use mode and or feed-in or peak shaving. Battery reserve function, I told you before. What is it? Feed-in power limit function, I told you. Echo function. This is to not drain battery that much. If your PV is too low to keep inverter in operation, it will take power from the grid for its own self-use to avoid draining battery too much. Battery wake-up function. So it sends current to battery to wake up it. It is useful if you suspect that BMS is not responding. This is like a shot of energy to the battery. If you really suspect that your BMS is maybe broken, or you are not sure if your battery is discharged totally, it is better to have this option, especially with some battery manufacturers. What else? Battery healing function. Inverter will charge battery up to 100% to avoid fault. Force charge will charge battery to over discharge SOC from AC. After that, inverter will start charging battery up to 100% from the PV to avoid costs of import. Yeah, and those are typical scenarios when you can use this bigger commercial 12 up to 50 kilowatt inverter. So generator starts to work when during grid loss battery is drained until generator start SOC. This is how it's called. Then inverters enable generator. Generator has a task to charge load and battery until battery will hit generator exit SOC. If generator fails to start, battery will be discharged until over discharge SOC as normal. So the logic of this ATS control, as we see it here, to start the generator, relay pull in, dry contact short circuit. To stop the generator, relay release, and dry contact open circuit. Yeah, and we have two different versions of it. First is if you have generator connected to ATS near main circuit breaker. In this scenario, generator is still able to cover your backup load to charge your battery if battery is drained, and your home load is still maintained, but you need to be extremely careful with commissioning of this hybrid inverter. Otherwise, inverter will not know that generator is on AC side, and yeah, I can imagine that backflow power can damage the generator. It's not that common scenario, but yeah, I am an electrician and I know that it's better to avoid troubles if you can. So it's better to make sure that everything is fully commissioned here in this hybrid inverter. And generator on GenPod side connected directly to this third, let's say, port, because here we have AC, here we have backup, here we have this generator port. If the generator is connected directly here, there is no problem, to be honest. So disadvantage of it is if you have grid loss situation, this is cut off, like totally. There is no home load, only backup load. Battery will discharge to your backup load. If battery is drained, generator will be turned on and cover your backup, cover your battery. After battery is fully charged, generator is going to off and battery is starting to discharge once again to backup load. So this is very safe solution. Yeah, and we have a variation of it, let's say, to connect, instead of diesel generator, to connect existing PV plant with any other grid tied or hybrid, doesn't matter, inverter, just any inverter. I can imagine that this scenario is not really common and will be not common, but yeah, we are ready for this as well. So the purpose of it is to have a retrofit installation. When you already have a third-party grid-tied inverter and you don't want to remove it, this inverter can be connected to S6 and is working like a generator. Starts production if needed, ends production if battery is charged and load is covered. So S6 hybrid inverter can simulate the operation, let's say, operation logic for the power grid. The start, stop, and power control of the grid-tied inverter are realized by adjusting the frequency of backup work. So the working logic is that PV hybrid plus PV existing power the load and then charge the battery until battery power reaches off SOC. The system will reduce the output power of grid-tied inverter to 0. Off SOC you can set, for example, at 100% or 90%. Then the PV inverter will shut down because it will get like something like over frequency alarm, something like this, because it will increase, like starting with 50 hertz, after that 51, 52, and after 52 there is over frequency. End of story. That's it. What else can be said about this hybrid? This is how it looks like from below. Ports are described basically on the slide. So BMS is battery communication interface. Here you would connect your CAN cables. Meter. For meter is RJ45 or RS485 interface. Parallel A and parallel B is for paralleling inverters to have cascading scenario. DI is ATS generator dry contact port. The USB COM port is only for new data logger type. You can't use it for any other USB device. I guess it is obvious, but I wanted to say it out loud. And yeah, here you have this AC grid. This is AC backup, and with commercial hybrids, you would have just one more with diesel generator. Yeah, and about unbalanced load, because I decided to include this to explain maybe what's the main difference between normal load, balanced load, and unbalanced load. So this feature applies only to hybrid inverters, three-phase, obviously. In average load, when your load is, for example, 2.4 kilowatt, you can either take this energy from the grid, like here, yeah, or allow battery to cover this. Yeah. However, the meter detects that your load is 2.4 and battery is going to split this value per three phases equally. Yeah, so you have 0.8, 0.8, 0.8. In result, in this 2.4 kilowatt load is only on one phase. It will cover up to 0.8, and the rest is taken from the grid, because this is going to the grid and then is going back, yeah, together with some. Yeah, on the two other phases, battery will discharge to the grid. The sum is 0, but in some cases, for example, in Spain, you are not allowed to send anything to the grid, even if the sum is 0. Yeah, so we decided to develop unbalanced load support as well as other brands. So unbalanced load logic is very simple. Battery is allowed to discharge directly to the phase which has active load to cover. Yeah. If the load is only on one phase and it is 2.4 kilowatts, battery will send nothing to other two phases, and you see it here on this example. Yeah, and only this phase with load will be covered. In result, you are not importing anything from the grid, and nothing is sent to the grid. You can enable this function in settings of the inverter. So our inverter can have this unbalanced load up to 33%. I can safely say that it is even bigger, around 40%. But yeah, in our data, it is written 33%. Most it will be like this. So 33%, what does it mean? If you have 10 kilowatt inverter on each phase, you can have unbalanced load up to 3.3 kilowatt, basically, something like this. Yeah, simple backup means that backup load is connected directly to backup load, and it is separated from normal grid for normal load. So battery is isolated by DC breaker. There is communication cable for CAN. The second COM port is for the meter information. AC is also isolated by AC breakers. Meter is before inverter and before our loads. If there is a grid loss situation, this part of the system is just cut off by the AC relay of the inverter. Nothing can come through. Backup is still powered by PV and battery. And for some customers, at least some customers, that they cannot cannot separate those loads. I mean, grid load and backup load. It is good to have this bypass switch somewhere there. Like we do not provide them, but this is just the idea that it will work with bypass switch. Yeah, and about what is in the box, basically everything that you need to start normal operation. We do not provide batteries, obviously, for hybrid inverters, but in the box you will find battery power cable, around 1 meter, BMS inverter CAN cable, Datalogger S4 with Wi-Fi communication, and power meter with CTs, current transformers. Yeah. So it is just ready for commissioning. Yeah. Oh, here, beside this, about this indicator, you have 5 cells here, and each cell is representing like 20% of the battery. So if you want to have just quick look on this, you will see this if your battery is charged enough. Let's say this is for Bluetooth. It means that somebody is actually connected at this very moment to this inverter. It is good if you have like 2 or 4, I don't know, 4 people, or at least 2 people on site, and you don't want to be, messed up with everything. Just look at this. Okay, somebody is connected to this inverter. That's why I cannot connect at the same time. Yeah. And this means that battery and everything is good. If there is a small alarm, it will be yellow, and if the alarm is major, it will be red. Yeah, and this is just for meter. Yeah, and about knowledge base, because we are heading up to the end of this part. Those are just useful links for later. So I totally recommend using videos on YouTube, as they are prepared by our key employees. Not only slides with generic robotic voices, but we have some documentation, some videos prepared by our technical manager, by our product manager, and so on, in English mostly. We have some stuff in German, and we are expanding those languages also on YouTube. About certificates, listing problems, manuals, or other specific topics, you can reach me personally if something is not under this link, because here we have like our database with all certificates, user manuals, battery compatibility, and so on. We have also a nice design tool, which is used for checking if the string design is good and matching datasheets of the inverters, or if battery specification is compatible with our devices. You can just sign in here. You need to just leave their email to be able to have the account here. That's it. And Solis knowledge base. And maybe Gabor will say something more about this, because it is really nice stuff. Our database is decent if you have like real problem on site, and for some reason you don't want to call us. You can just go to this solution and check it first. And Solis ticketing system, Gabor will tell you more about it, but it is for after sales. If you want to raise ticket, go to this site, or just call us, or just write an email. Okay, this is all from my side. Thank you very much for listening. This part for hybrids is over. I would suggest like 10 minutes break. And after that, my friend Gabor Zoltan from After Sales will tell you something about how to commission hybrid inverters and about after sales process. So you will learn more how it looks like with Solis.
So, Gabor, are you prepared with your presentation? Yeah, perfect.
I'm always ready. I'm always fit.
Perfect. Glad to hear it.
If my computer and the internet allowed us, I can start my presentation about the commissioning. So let's check what we have. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Something is not working at this moment. Several times I have this problem. Just a moment. Okay. Let's get back. Could you see my screen? Okay, so my task to get a short and brief information about the commissioning and the after-sales service of Solis. It is working in this company. So let's start with commissioning of hybrid inverters, which is really easy. But need for the commissioning when you are ready with the installation, only a smartphone. We have a built-in Bluetooth, so you can easily connect to the inverter. You can really easy to set the Wi-Fi connection, and if you have the Wi-Fi connection, you can use a quick setup. Of course, you need a Solis account. So when you download the app as installer, you need an installer account, because the installer account and the owner account is different. The installer has much more to set than the end user. So when you connect to the inverter with a Bluetooth, you can check several information. You can check the information about the inverter, the information about the battery, and of course you have a main page about the main informations. This is an easy part. I would like to just step over to the bit more practical information. So don't forget, you need an installer account, because the critical parameters not allowed to set by end users. So please, when you want to do it, create the account, the correct installer account. So open your phone, log into the Solis Cloud, choose the main tools, choose the local operation and connect with Bluetooth, and give the inverter serial number. Not necessary to type in. You have a possibility to read the QR code. And
Gabor, apologize for interruption, but we've got a question. If there is the possibility to switch to full screen view.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you.
But yep, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Looks better, thanks.
Sorry. So you have a possibility to read the QR code of the inverter and give the serial number like this. This really easy, and that's all. You can verify it, and you can give the Wi-Fi connection after it. Bluetooth commissioning continues with a quick setup. This is really easy, only 5 steps if you have only one inverter. The parallel settings a bit more difficult, but only 1 step more. First of all, you set the time. It's really easy. Just click on the follow the phone time. Your smartphone time will give to the inverter as a basic time. Step 2, set the battery. Solis has approximately 60 different battery brand and type, which is allowed to use. When you choose your inverter, you can download the battery list, which is allowed to use with this exact inverter. And you can find the correct battery what you want to use. So during the setting, you can see some example like Pylon, Soluna, LG, Vico, or other. You can find the correct one, just click on it and it's set it. Next, the meter setting, you have to find the correct meter. Solis provide a meter and CTs in the box. It's really easy to choose that one and choose the meter location where it is installed. Normally, it's measuring the grid. Step 4, the working modes. About the working modes, Christoph mentioned all of that. Only one thing what you need to choose one of it. Self-use, feed-in priority, backup, or off-grid mode. And click on it. And the next step, choose the correct grid code. If I'm correct, at this moment we have no specially check grid code, but you can use the EN 5449, which is the common European grid code, and you can choose several settings and modify it if it's necessary. I'm not really familiar with the Czech grid, so sorry for that. But that was only the commissioning, using your smartphone, really easy and really fast. Our Solis Cloud, which is our monitoring platform, which is a friendly surface. When you commission the inverter, really easy to set the Wi-Fi and connect the inverter or the data logger to the Wi-Fi. You can use the Solis Cloud app, or you can choose the web user interface and give the correct Wi-Fi. Choose the correct Wi-Fi. If you have any problem to connect, before you call the fresh caller, which is our phone help service, you can check the YouTube channel. Solis has YouTube channel with almost all the questions which happen during installation. Sorry. So you connect your phone to the data logger. using the app. And don't forget, you have to switch off your mobile data when you connect your Datalogger. Otherwise, it's disturbing and you cannot set the correct Wi-Fi. The step is easy. Open the Surface. If the QR code not opened, because you can read the QR code, and when you read the QR code, you will get the Surface to get the network and the password. You can type in a correct code 10.10.100.254, and you reach this Surface via this. And almost that's all. After you set this Wi-Fi connection, close the Surface and open the Solis Cloud, and you can find your inverter in. About the firmware upgrade, several times we need to do the firmware upgrade on the inverter. Basically, the remote upgrade, it's always happen via Solis Cloud platform, but it's always performed by Solis engineers. And we can do it only just online inverters. Sometimes, if we cannot find the inverter online, and the installer cannot make the inverter online because of the Wi-Fi connection, the installer can do the local upgrade using a special upgrade dongle that you can connect to the inverter COM port. In this case, the Solis engineers will send the correct firmwares, the HMI and the DSP as well. And of course, a correct step-by-step manual how can perform it locally. If you want to check the firmware state, what firmware do you have on the inverter, you can check it via Solis Cloud. Go to the device overview and you can find the firmware version, or on the display, not on the new one, because in the new S6 has no LCD screen, the older models or the grid ties. Go to the menu, the advanced settings, and you can check the HMI or the DSP update and check the state. Troubleshooting. Luckily, it's not so often when we have to do troubleshooting. The Solis inverters working are really fine. On this slide, we show several service office, but we have more than this. This picture is a bit old. For example, for Czech Republic, you can reach the Polish, the German, or the Hungarian service center if you have any problem. So how to contact with the Solis service team? Via email using this e-service at solisinverters.com, or which is the best way, create a ticket. Go to the Solis service fresh desk www.webinář.com and create a ticket. This ticket will send to the service center, and one of the engineers will work and give answer during 24 hours. Also, we have a call service. We call it Fresh Call. On this slide, you can see 3 service lines, but on the solisinverters.com web surface, you can find all the line or the hotline which is working, which is reachable for you. During the troubleshooting, the first step, you can check the status of the inverter using the LCD or the Solis app. If you have any alarm, please first check the manual. You can reach all the manual for all inverters on the solisinverters.com web page, and you can download all of them and check the alarm message and check what is the necessary steps. If you follow this and the alarm still on, collect all the necessary information. What is needed for us? Of course, the serial number of the inverter. We need the correct alarm that you found. Please make some measurements. When you follow the steps as the manual provide, please take photos or videos, and all of these information have to be sent in the ticket, in the ticketing system. And we can work with these information. If you just send, we have alarm 1028. It's not enough. We need the inverter serial number or the plant number to find the inverter. We need a bit more information about the installation, how many strings is connected, what type of battery connected, how many inverters connecting and the others inverter have communication or not. So please try to give us as big information as possible. When we realize somehow we cannot repair the inverter, we will start the replacement. But the replacement is not working, just you send, it's not working, and we will change. No, we need measurements. We need to confirm that with investigation. But when an engineer approves the replacement, we will send a form that you have to fill, where we have to send the new one to the end user or to the distributor or to the installer, and where we can pick up this faulty unit. The really good thing, when the engineer hand over the RMA process, the replacement process, to the back office who organize the shipping, you will get always information about the shipping. When will it arrive? We have it in stock or we have to wait. So even if it's not happened during several days because we have no replacement in the stock, you will get always information about it. The transport and pickup of the faulty unit, this cost is always ours, not the distributor or not the end user. The Solis will pay it. That was from my side. It's really easy and really fast. Please don't forget, as Christoph shared with you, we have knowledge base. If you have any problem or any question about Solis devices, first check it on this knowledge base. Really nice and really good. Almost cover every question what could happen. So thank you. Okay, I just check the questions.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Gabor, for your presentation. Now it will be up to Tomáš and his Pylontech part. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tak, vidíte všichni prezentaci? Dobře, děkuju. Já jsem chtěl jenom říct, že co se týče nějakého servisu z toho Solisu, tak můžete zavolat přímo nám. My jsme v kontaktu s výrobci, jo, tudíž to můžeme nějakým způsobem urychlit. Můžeme nabídnout tady nějaké řešení, jo, takže nemusíte psát hnedka do Rumunska, ale můžete se obrátit na nás. Jo, i co se týče nějaké technické podpoře na místě, nějaké začátky a tak dále, vždycky můžete zavolat na naše číslo 5544237 a tam se vždycky můžeme nějak domluvit, takže jo, může to jít i přes nás, nemusíte psat do Rumunska. Jo? Teďka bych se vrátil zpátky k těm Pylontechům, které tady máme a bude to jenom krátce nějaké od toho rezidenčního řešení až po to komerční řešení, které tam je v té nabídce u toho Pylontechu. Jo, v začátku si řekneme jenom něco krátce o Pylontech. Tím, že jsme s nimi od roku 2016, tak už je to taková dlouhodobá spolupráce, už víme, kde jsou ty chyby, víme, kde jsou nejlepší a tak dále. Je to už nějaké takové manželství, jak již zmiňovala i, jo, jak ji zmiňuje již Pylontech. Vždycky ty své články a to úplně od počátku vytváří Pylontech, není to nějaké rebrandované, jako třeba ostatní značky, kdy dělají i články pro elektromobily a tak dále, ale už od toho prvotního článku je to vyrobené v Číně, jo, v firmě Pylontech. Potom od toho článku se dostáváme k nějakému bloku, z těch bloků vytváříme nějaký bateriový modul, potom vytvoříme bateriový systém, a potom už nějaký soubor nějakého paralelního zapojení všech těch baterií a potom to můžeme dát celé do kontejneru, kde už je nějaké řešení, nějaký zašecí systém a tak dále, aby nedošlo k požáru. Jo, všechno tady tohle řešení řešíme právě s Pylontechem a jsme schopni to zajistit, nabídnout. Jo, proč se vůbec vyplatí mít bateriové úložiště, tak je to, ta myšlenka je dost jednoduchá a to, ať nakupujeme od distributora, ať máme nějakou vlastní úsporu, můžeme si to brát přímo z toho PVčka, z té energie, můžeme si to nabíjet, potom večer to spotřebovat, čili je to nějaká soběstačnost, kterou máme, nemusí to jít přes ten elektroměr, ale můžeme si tu energii využít a spotřebovat. Potom nějaké záložní napájení, máme nějaké systémy, které musí dojet, nějaké pasové dopravníky, aby se nějaký materiál nezničil a tak dále. Tímhle způsobem můžeme zajistit, ať při výpadku sítě nebo výpadku energie je to zajištěno. Jo, nedojde k nějakému zničení a podobně. Čili máme nějaké nezávislé zásobování energie pomocí toho PVčka, pomocí toho sluníčka, nějakou ochranu, jak jsem zmiňoval, ten výrobek, který tam je, kdyby došlo výpadku, tak můžeme zajistit do ochranu. A samozřejmě snížení těch nákladů, aby té energie co nejméně šlo přes elektroměr, ale abychom byli právě tou soběstačností. Potom máme nějakou funkci peak shavingu, kdy kdy si právě nabíjíme ty baterie, skládáme si tu energii do těch akumulátorů a potom, když dojde k nějaké špičce, tak ty baterie akumulátory začnou vybíjet a tím i spotřebujeme méně energie a bude to i pro tu distribuční síť bude méně zatížena. Jo, čili jak jsem zmínil už na začátku, tak ta soběčnost tam je opravdu velká. Dále samozřejmě výkonové kapacity, co se týče i nabíjecích stanic, čili jestli máme nějakou flotilu aut, tak pomocí těch baterií jsme schopni tu flotilu nabít a podobně. Já bych chtěl jenom něco krátce, na začátku nějaké takové základní informace o těch bateriích, jak to bude vnímat a tak dále. Tak ta životnost těch 4000 cyklů v tuto chvíli už je větší, je to nad 7000 cyklů, ale vždycky tu baterii musíme vzít, neboli její životnost určuje, jakým výkonem ji vybíjíme, nabíjíme, a jak hluboce ji vybíjíme. Tudíž Pylontech to měl dlouho se svých datasheetech na 0,5C, což u takové baterie, která má 2,4 kWh, znamená, že ji vybíjíte polovičním výkonem, což znamená 1,2 kW. Ale někteří výrobce těch cyklů měli více, ale měli to, že vybíjeli třeba jenom čtvrt kilowattou nebo o hodně menším výkonem, než je stanovené a proto i ty cykly se zvětšily. Jo, ale za ten rok spotřebujete nebo uděláte tak kolem 100 cyklů. Jo, není to možné za tu životnost té baterie vůbec cykly jako se k ním dostat. Jo, takže to je naprosto dostačující. To záruku 7+3 roku vždycky dostáváte 7 základů. Když se potom zaregistrujete přímo na Pylontechu s svojí baterií před sériové číslo, tak dostanete 3 roky zdarma. Jo, všechny tady tyhle boxy pro to komerční řešení se zapojuje do série, totiž vždycky s každým blokem zvyšujeme napětí, ale proud zůstává stejný. Tady bych chtěl jenom takové základní údaje, které tam jsou, a to DOD, což je hloubka vybití, čili když někde nastavujeme, že chceme hloubku vybití 80%, tak konečné EZOC, což je stav nabití, je jakoby ta kapacita, kterou bude mít potom vybíjení, bude 20%. Jo? Takže když dáme DOD 80%, tak 20% bude potom EZOC, což je state of charge, stav toho nabití. Jo, jedny z těch nejzákladnějších, které se používají, jsou právě H47 050. Je to právě tato baterie, která je na tomto obrázku, kdy vidíte jenom, že jsou 2 konektory silové, které se propojí do série. Vždycky na té BMS máme i propojení změnče, vždycky ta komunikace přes CAN, čili jenom dvojvodičově, je to vždycky modro-bílá a modrá, s tím, že zde se připojují baterie, to silovina, a tady se napojuje měnič. Jo, vždycky na to D-, D+. Trošku se liší i ty konektory, protože máme jinší verze těch BMSek. Tady tohle je zrovna 100 amperová, tudíž to vedení k tomu je 100 amperové, ale je třeba 40 amperová a tak dále. Potom se ty konektory trošku liší. A vždycky ten konektor dostanete v balení a potom jenom tu druhou stranu toho konektoru si musíte nalisovat, jo, popřípadně zapojit. Takže tam vůbec není problém. Jo, ten způsob zapojení vždycky nahodíte jistič, zmáčknete tlačítko, chvilku vydržíte, uslyšíte písknutí, potom jenom právě v Solis aplikaci nastavíte Pylon H2, jak jsme vlastně viděli u Gabora, tak jenom takové jednoduché spuštění, potom sepne relátko a baterie potom už komunikuje s měničem. S tím, že když zmáčknete i to červené tlačítko déle, tak se stane to, že by mělo to relé sepnout, i když není navázaná komunikace, ale většinou tam opravdu není problém. Jo, čili B+, B- vždycky připojujeme baterie, které jsou do série, tudíž propojujeme plus a minus, abychom zvětšili napětí, ale proud nám zůstává stejný. Ta H48 050 má 50 Ah, tím, jak jsem zmiňoval na začátku, že Pylontech umí jen půl C, tak 50 děleno 2 je 25 A. Jo, tudíž 25 A dostaneme z té baterie. Jo, tady je zrovna ta další verze, tady ta 40 amperová. Vidíte, že ten konektor je trošku jiný, je to hlavně kvůli tomu, že tam bude menší proud. Ale způsob zapojení je úplně stejný. Zapneme jistič, začneme tlačítko, uslyšíte písknutí, potom to SOC, které je tady vpravo dole, najede. Chvilku bude blikat a potom už se navážejí komunikace s měničem. Potom, až co spustíme v Solis nastavení ten Pylon H2. Jo, s tím, že to je vždycky do Kenu. Tady vidíme, že je Ken RS485, tak tady jo. Jinčí baterie to mají trošku jinak, ale vždycky Pylontech to má Ken. Jo, a vidíte teda ten konektor jiný, ale ta silovina je vždycky stejná. Jo, tudíž vždycky do série. Kdybyste to propojili paralelně, tak ta deska na to úplně není stavěná, takže to úplně nedoporučuji. Nebo i se stalo tady u nás, že právě kolega vynechal BMSku, připojil rovnou na měnič a potom měl popáleniny, čili opravdu opatrně, když tak na našich stránkách máme i zapojení těch H48 050, tudíž se můžete podívat na návod na našich stránkách na YouTube by. Jo, takže by neměl problém. Když tak, a kdyby byl nějaký problém s tím Pylontechem, tak stačí opravdu zavolat na naše číslo, my vám radí pomůžeme. Jo, čili 100 amperová verze, 40 amperová verze, víte, že tady to dokonce je trošku tlustší, tady tohle je uší. Jo, ale je úplně, fungují úplně stejně. S tím, že vždycky si člověk musí dávat i nějakou venkovní teplotu, kterou ta baterie má, čili když se to občas dává do garáží a tak dále, je tam chladno, tak ta BMSka si to omezuje i vůči okolní teplotě, je to kvůli toho, aby ochránila právě to LiFePort 4, kterou to baterie obsahuje, ty články, tudíž zmenšuje potom ten nabíjecí proud. Tak, tady mám ukázku jenom paralelní zapojení těch SE500, které tady jsou u toho Pylontechu pro ty H48 050. A právě když si bylo nutné používat master BMSku, kdy jste jenom komunikačně připojili tu master BMSku k měniči a potom ostatní přes tu master BMSku. Tady tohle už padá právě teďka řešení verze 2, kdy můžete mít jednu BMSku, ostatní můžete mít starší a jenom komunikačně propojíte. Tudíž jdete z měniče na na Ken a potom přes porty tady jsou, oni jsou nejčastěji link port 1, link port 0 a jenom propojíte mezi sebou komunikačně s tím, že vždycky, jak zapínáte, tak musíte zapínat od slaveu, což je ten otrok, který poslouchá toho mastera. Tady tohle jsou slavey, ten, který komunikuje s měničem napřímo, tak je master. S tím, že tady, když si všimnete, tak tady je taky deep switch, který je nutné, abyste dodrželi. S tím, že jednička má vždycky svoji nějakou adresaci, to bude jako ten master, potom ostatní podle pořadí už máte dále. Jo? Tudíž jeden master bude jako master, tudíž jedničku nahoře. Tady je ještě 6x ukončovací odpor, který vždycky u toho prvního masteru musí být zapnutý nahoře a u toho posledního musí být také nahoře. Jo? A jak říkám, vždycky začínám od slaveu. Tady tohle jsou právě H2, které jsou spíše pro rezidenční řešení, úplně se často nepoužívají do toho komerčního. Tady tohle, ty H48, o kterých jsem mluvil předtím, se musí dávat do reku, ale tyto baterie se staví takto na sebe. Jo, můžete použít až 5 bloků, to je potom ale spjato, že musíte mít BMSku verzi 2, nejde to právě s tím starším typem. Jo, tudíž takhle ji můžete vidět, takhle vypadá ta BMSka, ty bloky jsou potom jenom takový blok. Takže tady máme dokonce obrázek. Jo, tady potom stavíte na sebe, vždycky v tom balení máte základnu a máte i kabely na propojení, tu silovinu pro měnič. Vždycky na konci toho vedení je to volné, takže si to napinujete, jak potřebujete dle konektoru. Jo, čili ta BMSka funguje dost podobně jako ta C500, kterou jsem říkal předtím. Připojíte přes Ken z měniče do Kenu, potom zapnete jistič, zmáčknete tlačítko a potom samozřejmě uslyšíte pípnutí, z druhé strany je potom jenom status, který bude chvilku blikat, potom nastavíte v Solisu aplikaci Pylon H2 a bude všechno v pořádku. Jo, a tak to poznáte H2, verze 2 a takhle je verze stará. Jo, čili vidíte, že tady přibyly link port 1, link port 0, tady není, tady jsou jenom ta silovina, co je ve dvojce, je ta silovina tady nahoře, ale vždycky to jsou stejné konektory, jsou to MC4 klasické, tudíž tam by vůbec neměl být problém. Jo, s tím, že to má i anténku, která má i ta EC500, tak jste schopni to připojit na lokální síť a přes lokální síť je možné udělat update anebo nějaká vzdálená zpráva, tudíž nějaké kontroly článků a tak dále. Dělá se to na portálu SolarMan, kde to jenom zaregistrujete. Pod tou antenkou je QR kód a server číslo toho logru, který tam právě připojujete, stačí, když tam připojíte ty lokální sítí a potom v Solisu si uděláte takovou svoji elektrárnu, kde potom před tím logrem zaregistrujete tu BMS-ku. Jo, a my potom vzdáleně můžeme vidět i nějaký stav nabití, stav článku, myslím, že tam jsou právě i ty cykly, kolik to má. Jo, a právě u té verze 2 tam jde i updateovat firmware. Jo, jinak to musíte dělat přes převodník RS232, na USB, který je u nás, můžete ho zakoupit a potom pomocí Battery View. Tím bych spíše odkázal na naše školení, které děláme pro pokročilé edici, co všechno projdeme, všechno vám ukážeme, jak na ten Pylontech, jak to servisovat a podobně. Jo, čili ještě jednou BMSka a bateriový modul. Ale jak říkám, je to spíše v rezidenčním řešení, kdy se to dává do nějakých garáží a tak dále, aby to vypadalo pěkně a tak dále. S tím, že to je vždycky, i když to budete mít v tom battery view, tak ta indexace je vždycky od spoda nahoru. Není to, že pod BMS máte jakoby index 1, ale to je spíše, když budete potom fungovat s tím battery view, tak jenom ať víte, že to jde teda od té nejspodnější jednička až nahoru je potom 4, ten je nejposlednější, ta, která je pod BMS-kou. Ale potom, co vidíte na tom statusu, který je právě na té BMS-ce, tak je to normálně. Jo, tudíž pozor na to. Tak, tím, že ta baterka má 37 Ah, tak zase jsme limitováni tím 0,5C, takže tím to větví těch baterií proteče 18 A. S tím, že kdybychom to chtěli spojovat paralelně, tak tady tento způsob, kdy dáme jenom komunikaci s měničem přes scan, ta, která bude komunikovat s tím měničem, tak bude jako master a potom přes ten link port 1.0 vždycky propojíme s dalšími slavy. Tudíž z masteru, z link portu 1, půjdeme na link port 0, zase ze slaveu, link port 1, link port 0 a tak dále, ale je nutné vždycky spustit první slave a až potom master. Jo, potom v aplikaci uvidíte trošku vyšší proud nabíjecí. Jo, třeba když budete mít 2, tak tam bude právě těch 37 ampérů, ale jo, čili když budete zvyšovat ten proud tím, že to je paralelně, ale vždycky to bude teda vybíjet těch 18 ampéry. Jo, ale záleží potom ještě na měniči, jaký má bateriový vstup. Jo, čili paralelní propojení těch H2 pomocí verze 2 BMSky. A tady je jenom ukázka, jak propojit tu silovinu. My doporučujeme to dělat pomocí klasického DC rozvaděče, kdy to připojíte jenom na pojistkový odpínač, a nebo je k zakoupení i combiner box, kdy už to máte všechno připravené. Myslím, že tam je připravené pro dva sloupce, ale vždycky to je jenom přes MC4 konektor. Jo, čili tam by neměl být problém ani přes tu DC sběrnici. Tak teďka se dostáváme k těm větším jak jsem předtím zmínil, že to bylo spíše rezidenční řešení, ty H48 už tak spíše v tom komerčním, protože se dávají do reku, ale tady tohle jsou určitě jenom komerční řešení. Ty právě máme stejný způsob, vždycky ty baterie propojeme do série, tudíž zvyšujeme jejich napětí, produkt zůstává stejný, akorát co jedině měníme, tak je v podstatě váha, protože tady tyhle baterie mají nižší napětí, ale mají vyšší kapacitu. Jo? Tudíž se dostáváme na napěťové na nějakých 32 V, ale kapacitně už jsme na nějakých 5 kWh. Jo, což je velký rozdíl, zároveň ta váha je třeba i trojnásobná a tak dále. Jo, s tím, že průběh spuštění je naprosto stejný. Vždycky to je B plus B minus je pro baterie, když připojete na tu BMSku, D plus D minus je pro měnič. Tak teďka jsou právě už nějaké takové řešení, které v tom reku máte, a to je právě ten Optim, kdy už není to omezení toho 0,5C, ale už to je přímo nějaké řešení od Pylontechu, ale nemáte to 0,5C, ale už vybíjíte 1C. Tudíž jestli máte 99 kWh rek, jo, což je jakoby tady tohle zařízení, jo, taková ta skřínka pro ty baterie, tak se dostáváte na ten výkon 1:1, tudíž na nějakých 100 kW, jo, nejste omezení na to půlce, která tam bylo. Jo, potom je další způsob, ten je pomocí M5. A jak říkám, tady tohle už je nějakým způsobem předpřipravené od Pylontechu, kde tady tohle můžete využít, ale u těch M5 jsme zpátky na těch 0,5C, totiž vybíjíte a nabíjíte polovičním výkonem. Ale jak říkám, vždycky to je stejné, jenom ta BMSka se občas dá napájet i z AC strany, ale jo, tady na tomhle obrázku to vidíme. Jo, že nemusíme připojovat na baterie, když ji chceme spustit, nějak opravovat a tak dále, ale stačí spustit na ACčku. Ale jak říkám, ten způsob je vždycky stejný, kdy propojíme do série a nastavujeme v měniči baterie. Tady se potom dostáváme úplně k velkým kontejnerovým řešením, kdy už jsme na 1 MW výkonu pomocí těch baterií. Vždycky se to skládá pomocí M5, M3 a tak dále. Vidíme, že jsme zase na půlce, takže ty řešení jsou. Jo, s tím, že tady je malá ukázka, jak ten kontejner vůbec vypadá. Vidíme, že máme teda ty baterie a už tam je právě nějaké řešení toho zaštěcího systému, kdyby došlo k nějaké poruše. Jo, ale všimněte si té váhy, že už to má třeba 14 tun a tak dále a už se to trošičku řeší jinak, ale jsme schopni to s vámi projet, jsme schopni to pro vás zajistit, domluvit společně s Pylontechem a udělat to v podstatě na míru, jak budete potřebovat. Tak jo, děkuji moc za pozornost, to bylo jenom tak v rychlosti o Pylontechu.
Já taky děkuji za pozornost všech. My tam máme v chatu ještě pár otázek, takže teď bychom mohli přejít k dotazům. Je tam dotaz Tome od pana Mandíka, jestli na něj mrkneš, prosím. And Gabor, there is one question about the mobile application. So if you reply after Tomáš, then thank you.
Tak co se týče toho zobrazování ten cloud, tak určitě myslím, že to tam není zrovna, jo, to nabití maximálně na minimálního článku, jo, tudíž to tam trošičku chybí.
Gabor, could you see the question in the chat?
In the chat, I found...
In the chat from Jiří.
Jehož tower battery.
Below, another one, mobile application showing different data. about consumption?
Yep.
Hmm?
Yep. Okay. Because I don't know what type of inverter and nothing about the installation, it could happen if the firmware is not updated correctly. So maybe need a new firmware update, or the other possibilities, if the difference is small, the Solis cloud below 200 watts, it's not counting. So if the difference is 200 watts or less, it's just a measuring problem. It's not a big deal, but it would be nice if you inform me about what type of inverter it is. Or create a ticket in the Solis system.
Thank you. You've got here another. Máme tady další dotaz. Tome?
Kličku jenom. Niko, co se týče toho vysokonapěťového nebo nízkonapěťové baterie, ty vysokonapěťové, jako když si to vezmeme z pohledu toho, že když máte vyšší proud, tak to znamená i vyšší ztráty, tak se mi zdá vysokonapěťové baterie spolehlivější, co se týče ztrát. Jo, tudíž jsou také nejvíce používané. I bych řekl, že jsou spolehlivější. Jo, v téhle stránky, že radši vedeme nižší proud na vyšším napětí. Jo, zase mi to i bezpečnější, než když zvyšujeme ten proud a už musíme řešit trošku nižší vedení a tak dále. Ty cykly a podobně, ten výkon je i dost na stejno, aspoň z mé strany. Je to asi spíše i trošku nějaký trend, který tam je u těch vysokonapěťových baterií, že jsou teďka nejpoužívanější. Ale jak říkám, z mé stránky si myslím, že to je určitě radši vyšší napětí než vyšší proud. To stačí.
Jinak tady vidím další otázku, jestli aktualizace firmwareu je možná i u Solisu za pomoci technické podpory BayWa RE. Tak tam asi můžu zmínit i to, že díky naší úzké spolupráci přímo s dodavateli, jako je to se Solisem nebo s Pylontechem, tak dokážeme tu technickou podporu poskytnout v českém jazyce a pomoci s jakýmkoliv technickým problémem. Máme nějaký další dotaz? Pokud ne, tak my jsme skončili s časovým předstihem. Webinář bude po ukončení dostupný na našem YouTubeovém kanálu BayWa RE Solar Distribution /CZ, kde můžete najít i jiná instruktážní videa nebo webináře. Zároveň, pokud byste měli zájem zúčastnit se nějakého dalšího školení, tak koukněte na web BayWa RE, kde jsou vypsané jak online školení, tak i školení přímo v Chrášťanech nebo ve Frýdku Místku. A rádi se s vámi uvidíme a využijte třeba i té možnosti, kdy právě kombinace Solis a Pylontechu je aktuálně dostupná i na našem e-shopu právě za lepší cenu. Než to tedy ukončíme, koukám, že tady ještě jeden poslední dotaz. Jestli je to otázka, Tome, koukneš na ní, prosím?
Určitě. Co se týče nastavení toho grid codu, tak tam je to trošku, nejde toho pod jménem check A1, A2, ale vždycky jako, teďka nevím, to označení, které bylo řečeno už na začátku, ale je to nějaké EN 50495, myslím, jo, ale ty kody tam jsou, jo, ty ochrany. Nemají ještě jméno. Hnedka odpovím na tu další. Zabaterie Pylontech slovy odepnout přes nějaký signálový vstup. Oni umí komunikovat i přes Modbus, tudíž jste schopni to vyčítat. A dokonce si myslím, že i ten registr tam je. Jo, pro nějaký stop. Většinou to ale instalační firmy řeší tak, že odepnou tu komunikaci s tím měničem v tom, když ta baterie nemá tu komunikaci, tak se vypojí. Jo, tudíž nejčastěji to dělají přes tu komunikaci. Co se týče té reakční doby, těch hybridních střídačů na zátěž, tak opravdu se dostává do těch 3 sekund. Jo, tady ta rychlost opravdu taky je a jo, je to dost na stejno.
Super, tak pokud nejsou žádné dotazy, bychom webinář ukončili. Pokud nějaké dotazy vzejdou, můžete se obrátit, jak zmiňoval Tom, přímo na kluky techniky, na linku technické podpory, nebo napsat buď to na podporu, nebo na obchod @Bajva. Teď tady vidím ještě poslední otázku. Záleží na poptávce. Určitě kontaktujte náš obchodní tým a pokud nenajdete nějaký měnič zrovna v portfoliu nebo přímo na e-shopu Bajvy, tak jsme schopni zajistit pak i nějakou individuální poptávku. A jinak jsem chtěla ještě zmínit jednu věc. Tam v té části, vlastně, kde byly představeny měniče, které aktuálně budou od Solisu na evropském trhu, tak jak jsme zmínili, naše technická podpora testuje produkty, tak aktuálně máme 20 hybrid na testu, takže i pak do budoucna se na ně můžete těšit v našem portfoliu.
Já když tak ještě odpovím na ten dotaz, tak jenom chvíličku. Určitě to jde. Jde to vyčítat přes to battery, které jsem předtím zmiňoval, jde tam vyčíst naprosto cokoliv, nějaké historie, co si dělal s tou baterií a tak dále. Tím, že ty nízkonapěťové baterie mají vždycky svoji BMSku, tak akorát se to musí dělat jednotlivě, nejde to, že stáhnete jakoby historii ze všech těch článků, které tam jsou připojené, nebo spíše z těch modulů. Jo, čili vždycky postupně a ano, lze to vyčíst, ano, to lze vyčíst i klidně přes ten Modbus, jo, tak aby to šlo. Jo, takže tak to za mě.
Super. Tak moc děkujeme. Thank you, Christoph. Thank you, Gabor, for your time. If there will be any question, we will let you know.
Of course.
And thank you for your time and see you soon. Děkujeme všem za dnešní webinář a brzo na viděnou. Děkujeme.
Thank you.